Hey, let's paint some vases, okay? What are you gonna need? You are going to need some water, some plain old tap water. You are going to need some watercolors and a paintbrush, okay? Kind of a small to medium brush. The floppier the better. And I'm just using a plain old Crayola set. If you have a spray bottle, that would be great because the spray bottle will help you get your colors juicy to get you started. You're gonna need some paper towel and some paper, and I'm just using Canson watercolor pad. We're gonna start with the darks, and this is the first time I've used this palette for a while. Ooh, that's kind of a cool black. So I'm just mixing a little bit of black, trying to get a nice dark going. Let's put a little bit of brown in there. Maybe a little bit of blue. Ooh, yeah. Love that. A little bit more black. Okay, we just want to get a nice, juicy, loaded brush. Okay, now we're going to come over to our paper and we're going to just do our vase. Now you'll notice my paintbrush is whacked. It's a little turned, and that's okay. It holds me accountable, keeps me loose. All right, we work well together. Okay, so we're just doing a simple vase. You can do a straight cylindrical vase. You can do more like an urn. I'm gonna kind of probably do an urn today. So let's take a look at a basic vase shape. So you're just gonna paint a U. And I'm just using kind of the side of my brush and then the tip of my brush to make sure I have some fairly straight lines. I'm not gonna be neurotic about it. This is not photorealism. Okay. Get a little bit more black on there, just to get some nice, good balance for those flowers coming. Gotta balance out the brights with the darks. Okay, so basic U shape, just fill it in. Let's put a foot on it, shall we? I'm gonna slap a foot on this sucker. I'm just gonna draw it down just a little bit. Almost think about a wine glass shape, and then I'm gonna add a little, kind of like the letter C. There we go. Boop, boop. Okay, then we're just gonna make a real quick impression of a surface. I don't know, maybe it is a table, maybe it's a kitchen counter. Who knows? Who cares? We just need some juicing up my brush again, blue, black, and brown. Get it nice and loaded. And I'm gonna start with the tip of my brush. Out to the side, and again just put a surface in. Now this is the fun part, so you're going to transition from the tip of your brush to the fat part of your brush, and we're just going to kind of swoop it out just to give some impression of again a surface. So I'm going to have the light coming in from this way ideally, so I'm going to try to put most of my swoop back over here. A little bit more. Okay, and it's already fairly loaded, so I'm just going to swoop with the side of my brush. Okay, now we got to move fast because we don't want this part to dry here. So I'm going to rinse out my brush, tap it off a little bit, get it loaded with water. Okay, and I'm going to put it back in on the side where I want that light to show, or it to be a little lighter. Okay. So I'm just adding a little bit more pigment, or a little bit more water to the light side. Now, I have just blotted off my brush, so it is dry as a bone. No hair dryer needed. It kind of looks like a rumpled cattail. And I'm just going to pick up that pigment now. Okay, just from that one side. Blotting it off on your paper towel. Okay. We don't want it drippy, we just want it so that I can get that extra. Oops, it's okay. You have a little, remember we're going back in with this with pen afterwards. So again, don't be too neurotic. Just let the watercolor do its thing. Being neurotic and watercolors does not work very well together because it kind of has a mind of its own. Now you can see it's a little bit wet there still, even on my dry parts. I'm going to take some paper towel while it's still wet, and I'm going to come in and pick up even more. So this will give it even a lighter effect on those spots that I really want to highlight. So I'm going to be very careful not to drag it across the surface. I'm just going to pop it on the surface, press, and pop straight up. Okay, and it's really cool. Added bonus, if you have kind of a textured, these are Bounty paper towels, but if you have a textured paper towel, it leaves some really cool little designs behind. So I'm just going to kind of go in, boop, boop, boop. Ooh, is that not fun with the little extra? Yum. Okay, now you don't want to wait too long because you are going to have you want to make sure that you can get a little bit of this dark mixing with your floral arrangement. So I'm going to start out with, let's do some Black-Eyed Susans. Those are my absolute favorite this time of year. Literally almost got in a car wreck gawking at them in our neighborhood today. I'm just going to do a little half circle. Boop. Okay, nice loaded brush. Little half circle, and remember odd numbers. So I've always wanted to take a course on flower arranging because it is not a gift that I have. My mom is an amazing flower arranger. She has the gift. I do not. I love to paint them. Cannot arrange them to save my life. Okay, so those are just 3 little half circles. I'm going to take my paper towel and just real gently blot on the side that is going to be kind of where the sun's coming, or our light source is. Just on that left side, just a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is because if you go into it with a ton of pigment there, you definitely want that dark. But if you go in with a ton of pigment, it'll bleed out into your flowers, and it looks kind of cool, but it makes a bit of a mess. So we'll come back in and make that a little bit darker when we do the pen later. Okay, now I'm going to transition from my floppy brush to this round brush. And I love this for making petals. It works really well. So I'm just going to get my yellow. And this yellow doesn't have a lot of personality, so I'm going to give it a little bit of brown to it. Maybe a little bit of orange. Just to wake it up a little. Ooh, that's a pretty gold. Okay. That'll work. Starting from kind of down below and then stroking up into the center. So I'm going to kind of smush it and then tiptoe it up. Smush it, tiptoe it up. Smush it, tiptoe it up. Smush and tiptoe, smush and tiptoe. So I'm going from a really smush brush to very light pressure. Okay. And then when you get to the back, you can just kind of shmoop, boop, boop. Kind of give it a little bit of something there. Do. Okay. I guess it wants to be a bigger flower. Okay, but I would just do the same thing, smush and tiptoe, and then you've got a cute little flower. If you want to do more like a Black-Eyed Susan and it's not like a looking like a sunflower, you can. Don't forget the water for watercolors. Don't let it get too dry. Okay, I'm just going to smush and bring up, smush and bring up, smush and tiptoe, and there you go. Now, the cool thing that you can do with watercolor is I can then, if I want this to be a little lighter, I can pick up that pigment. Hi, Bexy. So next, I'm just going to tint a little bit with a little bit more orange. And just give it a little bit of definition. So smush and tiptoe. I'm just gonna boop, boop. There we go. Again, you can go back in, blot off your brush, pick up a little bit of that if you want to make it a little lighter. Okay, if you want to make it a little darker, you can go back in as well. Just make sure you have enough water on it. Okay, if you want to add some more darks. So now we have to be very conscious of making sure that we have, you also might want to, let's give it a little smush smush. Ooh, dots. Love dots. So you might also, so as we are constructing our arrangement, you need to make sure you're being cognizant or aware of lights and darks. So not just where your light source is coming, but just kind of in your painting where the lights, where the darks, and just having a nice balance. So let's start putting in some dark foliage. And I'm just going to add green to that dark that I was using here in the bottom of the vase. Okay. And this, oh, I always do that. I forget to switch brushes. 1 second. There you are. There we go. Okay. I like using this brush because it holds me accountable to not get too tight because it's obnoxious. So I have a very, very loaded brush, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to still leave a little bit of room for some other fun stuff going on, but I am going to just start putting in some darks, and I'm just dancing, literally laying my brush and doing a mixture of just swoops with the side of the brush and then tiptoeing around with the tip. So just do some, we're just doing the impression of some leaf action going on. Just making sure it's nice and balanced, get it in at least 3 places. You don't want it too clumpy. Okay, and then again, you can always come in, and if you see any parts that just need to lighten up a little bit, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's do another color. You know I like a good red. I think I might do orange. We're kind of feeling the mum vibes of fall. Gosh, we got back to school stuff today. So weird. As a teacher, I'm not quite ready to go back yet. So I'm having a mild panic attack in Target today. No, I don't want to buy a backpack. It's been a very nice summer. Okay, let's get a nice juicy burnt orange going on. Kind of mid-tone. Maybe add a tiny bit of black. Oh, it's too dark. Un momento. Ooh, that's kind of a fun one. Okay, I think that'll work. I know, I'm a very sloppy painter. My kids always get mad at me for ruining their wells of watercolor. And now you know why this paintbrush looks like that. I'm horrible. Okay. All right. I have a beautiful burnt orange going on now. Very loaded brush. And we're going to do the same. Let's see. What kind of flower should we do? Let's just invent a flower. That works for me. Okay. Let's see. So we had, in this one, we did kind of some mums. And then I might just do kind of an area that I can add in these little fun 4-petal flowers. So let's just kind of add in, I hope that's dark enough. There's some little boop spots. Just to add some interest. There we go. So I'm just using orange and red, a little bit of brown, tiny hint of black. This might trail down a little bit. Okay. And if it went over something, it's okay. Don't be neurotic about it. Again, it's just part of the process. The more you do these, you'll figure out your sweet spot. Ooh, look at how that lifted off. That was really fun. And if your paper towel gets too damp, it won't leave those really cool impressions. And so make sure that you have a nice dry towel. if you're going back in. Okay, let's pick one more color. Ooh, okay. I do have to cheat a little bit. Actually, no, I think we can do it with this palette. So I'm going to get my yellows almost out. It's my only concern. I'm going to see if I can make a nice bright green. Okay, that'll work. Okay, I'm a sucker for bright green. So let's add a little bit, again, a little variation. Add some little light stuff going on. Again, I'm doing just some boops around with my paintbrush and the tip of the brush. Okay, because, you know, it might trail down because it's just, you know, just wants to go exploring. And you see how they kind of run into each other. And even if it runs with the red, who cares? It'll just be, you can define it more later. So don't get apprehensive about it. I think we're going to add some blue. This is saying that it needs some blue. I'm just going to pick up a tiny bit of this. Not much, just to give it some. It's a little, this piece is kind of a little bit of a diva, diva vibe. Okay, then we're going to get the blue. Let's get some blue going. Ooh, this is more like a turquoise. Check this out. Ooh, okay, that makes me really excited. Yeehaw. So, and we're just going to give little kisses of blue just in about 3 different places, just to perk it up and wake up the party here. Just a few little, just balancing it out. I lied, I'm doing more than 3 because I love this color. I don't know about you, I always, I never give myself enough room. Oh dear, it always goes off the page. Okay, and if you get something a little bit too heavy, that's okay. Just blot it off. Let's lighten it up. And we can always come in with some other, that got a little bit too far out there, so we need to probably add maybe another, ooh, that was not a clean brush. An orangey bit. Ooh, water down in the water. You're watercoloring. Oops. Okay, just to kind of give it a little something, something. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry. Okay, friends, we are back. We are dry and ready to rock and roll. So you can tell a little bit of a difference between, this is one that I did a little while ago with the Philosophy watercolors. So it's a little bit more pigmented. This has a little bit of a shiny situation going on. So again, Crayolas are great. Crayola watercolors are great if you are just kind of playing around and getting the feel for it. They have some of the, or just using it casually, like in a journal or something. I would not recommend them for use in art that you are planning to sell. So for this next part, we are going to be adding line work. A micron if you want to, or my favorite, a Pilot Varsity fountain pen. Okay, now the only thing about this is that you want to make sure you have a piece of paper handy. The nib catches the tooth of the watercolor paper, so you have to kind of unload that gunk. You can start pretty much anywhere. I usually start with the little centers because those are the most fun, I think. So I'm just going to, I'm holding the pen at the very back and I'm just going to dance it across the page. So let me talk about dancing it across the, we're getting in touch with our inner scribbler. You are just going to literally just do loop-de-loops. Just loop, loop-de-loop-de-loops and scribble. That's all we're doing. We're just making scribbles. Sometimes we're going back over them and just little loop-de-loops. Sometimes they're tighter loop-de-loops and sometimes they're more sprawly loop-de-loops. And that's great. We're just, it's almost like you're pretending to do cursive back in 3rd grade when you were dying to learn how to do cursive. And you just kind of were faking it. Okay, so we're just going to do some loop-de-loops and some scratching in. And It's going to be awesome. So let's get to the painting. Here we go. We're back. So we're going to start with the centers. And remember, our light's coming from this direction. So I'll try to keep that in mind as I go. Ooh, this might be a nice hydrangea situation. That might be kind of fun. Okay, so I'm just going to take it and I'm really lightly just dancing it across the paper. Okay, then we're going to just scritch in a couple of fun. If you go back over it, not a big deal. If you go out of the lines, fantastic. No big deal. Nobody's got a photo to compare it to. Okay, this is yours. Okay, so I'm just going to go in, again, just scritching into some darks there. Getting, again, the impression of petals. But we're not getting worked up about perfection, because that is not what this is about. Okay. And then let's go in. Remember I mentioned that these blue and red spots might be really fun for kind of a 4-petaled flower. So we'll kind of scritch in a little dark and then just kind of scritch in some fun petals going on. Maybe do one on its side. Oops, you see how that kind of started stuttering there? Time for my paper. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. And I recommend you do a bunch of these because you get better and it kind of, you never quite know what watercolor is going to do. And it kind of has a mind of its own. And sometimes you have a great outcome. Sometimes, you know, with any art, not so hot. So you just keep working on it. If you're getting a little bit too tight, flip it upside down. Neat trick Amanda Evanson taught me. And design-wise, I was looking at this. Probably shouldn't have put this, you know, I was obsessing over that blue. Probably shouldn't have put that in there, but I'll just keep that in mind for next time. So it's a little bit more of a balanced composition. I may add a little something down here that might balance it out, or up here. But yeah. Probably in hindsight shouldn't have thrown that guy in there, but I was really loving the blue. So we're just gonna, I guess it wanted to be blue, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, so just scritching in. If you have shaky hands, you will excel at this. Because it is all about the shake. Boogie, boogie, shake. Actually, I do have to say, I do like how these Crayolas respond to the pen. It actually is working a little bit better than it normally does, believe it or not. I think they're a little smoother. That's interesting. See, and just because the pen wasn't behaving here doesn't mean you have to throw in the towel. Just scribble it up. Let's see what else we can do here. I'm kind of feeling some tighter, maybe hydrangea type. I know they have 4 petals. Again, not getting too loose or too tight. Maybe do them a little, play with size, get them a little bit smaller. So we're kind of hydrangea adjacent. Get into the yellow, not a big deal. Okay, so I'm just scritching in some little small situations here. You might do a little leafy. I love hydrangea leaves. If you have never done like a mono print with a hydrangea leaf, oh, Oh, that's fun. You gotta do that at some point, promise me, with acrylics, because that is a fun party right there. Okay, so just changing up the size a little bit, just to give it a little bit of something different. Again, keeping it loose and wiggly, loose and wiggly. That's your mantra you're going to be repeating to yourself. Loose and wiggly, loose and wiggly. Okay. Ooh, love that. Okay, I still need to put in some leaves, but I think we'll do a little bit more. I don't know about you guys. I always get, I have a very difficult time placing my paintings on the paper correctly. They always drift to the top left. It cracks me up. Here's top secret information about this next collection. I'm letting that go. I was supposed to post it last week. But ran into a bit of an issue with framing because I didn't size my paper like a dork before I started painting on stuff, and was not sure how to size it. So yeah, we had a little bit of a crisis mode, but it got figured out. Thank you to Tarjay, who had awesome big floating frames. So I think that may have gotten my keister out of the flames there. So I could actually sell the 900 watercolors I've got sitting around. So, because they need to go to homes. Art's not fun in a drawer. I think I might put another little group just to kind of tie this together. I put another little group, make sure you can see it, right in here. A little hydrangea-esque, we're not getting neurotic. You shouldn't be neurotic with this style of watercolor, because it's not fun. And why paint if it's not fun? There's time to be neurotic about paint, but this is not. This is a fun no-brainer. Just kind of let your pen and paintbrush do its thing. There we go. Come on, why are you being so stubborn there? Doesn't like this part of the painting, so I guess we're just not going to put anything it doesn't want to have ink there, I guess. So we're not going to force the hand there. Okay. I've learned a lot about listening to art and what art wants. Let's add a few dots on these little guys here. Yeah, just to kind of give it a little impression that there's a little something going on. Over here. Okay, now I want to add some depth to this. So I think we're getting a nice balance. Still have some leaves to finish off, but let's add a little bit more balance. So get some darks in there. So what I'm going to do is make sure my pen's working really well. I'm going to come in and just create some depth here. And not all over the place, but just in these little pockets. And it just gives a really nice, fun energy. It's like, what's going on in that dark little pocket? Is there a spider there? Did somebody drop their key in the bushes? I don't know. I'm really good at losing my keys. Hi, Baxter. The clicking, clacking is my dog. He's a corgi mix. And very opinionated. And definitely time to trim his toes. Oh, come on. Be nice. Be nice to the pen. Okay. Okay, I guess that's all it wants to do. Okay, so let's go in and we'll add maybe some bigger, broader leaves, more like hydrangea type leaves over on these patches of green. Just to give it some bounce. We have a lot of little stuff. So let's add in maybe some bigger. And for this one, I'm just going to do, just going to do, just kind of wiggle a nice little leaf like that. I think we'll see how it, okay, well, it's not quite, it's kind of going that direction. Yes. Again, just give me the impression of leaves, dance it around a little bit. Okay. Oh, got this one too. Don't want to get too big with this one. There we go. It just maybe dancing around with the darker spots. Okay. All right, so now we need to take care of the vase part. So let's take a look at the vase. We're just going to do a real light treatment. So just run it along just to kind of corral what situation's going on there. Okay, and again, you can overlap stuff. Just kind of go with it. And then, so I just outlined everything just real roughly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same scribble stroke, the kind of the big swoops and some tight swoops. And I'm just going to give some energy to these, this area over here. So just add some, little bit of interest. It doesn't have to be a lot. A little dab will do ya. And then the area that is down here, definitely add, maybe there's a little branch that broke off or a little crumbled. I took a picture of some roses from my garden yesterday and it was really fun because I had some rose petals fall. I was like, oh, this added so much to the composition. It was kind of fun. And then I'm going to come back in here and just kind of scribble in again some darks just to give it that contrast, make it look more hydrangea-y. And again, we're not going for a perfect photo of perfect hydrangeas. It's a little, maybe it's a hydrangea. Maybe it's just a poofy blue flower. I don't know. Okay. And there you go. It's a little bit off to the top left of the paper. Okay. Don't forget, always sign your work. Let's see where would be a good place. I'm going to sign it over here this time. Oops. Come on. There we go. And that's all she wrote. Maybe just, there we go. All right. And that, my friends, is how you do a hydrangea vase situation in just a loose watercolor. If you are going to give this a try, can you do hashtag? Just tag me so I can see your work. Devin Larson flower pot. All right, giddy up, have fun creating.